Hi everyone, I'm Hano. This is my video presentation for Aviation 326 Commercial Flight 2. My presentation is going to be on commercial performance maneuvers, more specifically a description of lazy eights. For the commercial pilot check ride, you have to demonstrate a number of performance maneuvers, steep turns, steep spirals or emergency descents, chandelles, which is your 180-degree maximum performance climb, eights on pylons, and finally lazy eights. The purpose of the lazy eight is to develop the proper coordination of the flight controls across a wide range of airspeeds and attitudes. During the maneuver, the flight controls are constantly changing. It's the only flight maneuver where during the entire maneuver you're constantly either changing back pressure, your rolls changing, you're never consistent on an axis. It's also the only maneuver that demonstrates how decreasing airspeed in a bank will cause an overbanking tendency. You start the maneuver with a almost imperceptible amount of bank, and as you increase that back pressure and start to decrease your airspeed, without moving the yoke left or right, your angle of bank will start increasing in the direction of the turn. So if we have a look at the Airman Certification Standards, we'll find the requirements for the lazy eight in Section 5, Item D. In order to perform this maneuver successfully, you have to have approximately 30 degrees bank at the steepest point, constant change of pitch, roll rate, and airspeed, so you can't be jumping all around. Your altitude at the 180-degree point needs to be plus or minus 100 foot from your entry altitude, and the airspeed at the 180-degree point needs to be plus or minus 10 knots from the entry airspeed, and then your heading at the 180-degree point needs to be plus or minus 10. So if you can hit all of those during the maneuver and do it the other way around, then you'll probably pass it for your check ride. So this is the graphic of what a lazy eight looks like. It's not actually a figure eight if you're looking at it from a bird's eye view. It looks more like a couple of S-turns across the road. As you see, you start wings level. As you enter the maneuver, you're going to put just very slight bank into the maneuver. It's a visual reference maneuver, so you want to pick a point off whatever your first direction of turn is. We'll go with the graphic here. It's showing to the right, so we want a point that's 45, 90, and then 135 degrees. And so we're going to put a slight bank in, slowly increase the back pressure. And as you increase that back pressure, like I said, you'll notice that the roll, you're going to start banking even more. A checkpoint is whenever you're at your 45-degree point, you should be at about a 15-degree bank. And as you keep that back pressure coming around at 90 degrees, your nose should start slicing through the horizon. You should be at about a 30-degree bank. And you're going to come back down at your 180-degree point. You should be at the same airspeed, same altitude as your entry, and then you'll roll right into turning the other way. So at your 90-degree point that you had in your first half of the maneuver off your right wing should now be off your left wing. And same thing. The visual maneuver all the way, if you try to do it on instruments, it's going to be a lot more difficult. So make sure you pick some prominent landmarks at your 45, 90, and 135. Some common errors during the maneuver are not clearing the area, not having a symmetrical maneuver, so it should look pretty much the same to the right or to the left, not picking good references, so you want to make sure your landmarks are prominent. Where I fly in the Houston area, it's kind of difficult. Everything's pretty flat, so it's sometimes that's a big consideration. Just not planning the maneuver correctly, or some of them, airspeed, bank angle is not correct. Control roughness is what I was talking about earlier, where You want a smooth input of controls. If you're constantly fighting the bank, you're not going to be successful. And then lastly, performing with reference to the flight instruments instead of the ground reference maneuvers. The first few times I did the maneuver, I was checking my instruments, did not go well. Once I started really getting my eyes outside, the maneuver started going a lot better.